Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Saturday morning, so you know it's time for another live edition of the Extra Point. PO Culture in the house. Michigan Michael Hasso in the house. Tasha T. Sizzle in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first installment of the Extra Point in 2025. Wishing each and every one of you a happy new year. Mike, Tasha, happy new year to the both of you. Y'all, like, they don't even say it back, man. I don't tell them. I don't wish them happy birthday. I don't
I
tell them
said it
Merry
at
Christmas.
the end of the year.
They
I
don't.
said it.
They don't. She didn't say it in Spanish or nothing. Like, I don't deal with them.
Mentiroso. I did.
Did you call me a nigga Rosso?
She said you lying.
She really did say I was lying, and then she called me a Modelo. I don't know what she called me, but we're off to a rocking start in 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, the college football playoff quarterfinals resumed this week, and it really left us with more questions than answers. But luckily for myself and luckily for you all watching today, we're going to get those questions answered by these two. You saw how I did those hands? By these two today. They will answer those questions. So Tasha T. Sizzle, you're batting lead off today. Let's start with the elephant in the room. All four teams that had a bye, the conference champions, they all got smoked this week on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. And all four of those teams in their respective games started out very sluggish, offensively and defensively, special teams too, if you're talking about Arizona State. Now, we started this conversation off wax, but I want to bring it to the people on wax this morning. Do you think that was too long of a layoff, Tasha, for the teams that earned a bye by winning their conference championship?
I can't really say that because what do I say sometimes? If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Preach.
And I don't think having a 1 or 2 week gap should be a reason for someone to say, oh, we were down, we hadn't played. This is the biggest time of your life right here. It's not just, oh, we won the Cotton Bowl, the Minor Key Car Quest Bowl, and you get a trophy. This, you got to keep going into this to get the ultimate prize. Like, I think it was kind of stupid at the end of these bowl games, they gave them a trophy. Oh, you won. Okay, but that's not the ultimate goal. You're trying to get that thing that Mike has right there. Wait a minute, which way am I pointing? This way. You're trying to get to this statue here. So I don't take that as an excuse for teams who came out with lackluster play because they had time off. You should be ready to play.
You should be ready to play. Coming in hot early this morning is Tasha T. Sizzle. Now, Mike, your name is Moneyline, Mike, for the purposes of this particular segment, because you're our resident Vegas whisperer. So I went back and looked. Vegas had all of the teams with the bye installed as underdogs on the betting lines. Mike, do you think that ring rust may have played a factor into that, or do you think this was more of a seeding issue where the better teams were just happen to be the ones that played in the first round?
Yeah, I think we've been talking about this all season of like, who do you rank as number one, the best team or the better record? And that's kind of been like the overall thing for this college football season. Mm-hmm. And I think people have been talking about it already. Like, did Oregon play anybody? Well, they played Boise State. They beat Ohio State. They won the Big Ten title, which is one of the stronger conferences. Like, yeah, but like when you watch them, can you be like, yeah, they're number one? Like, okay, they have some gaps there. We talked about Indiana, even Georgia. Like, Georgia obviously has some weaknesses, but they then beat Texas. So it's like, it's really hard to rank these teams. I agree with Tasha that, of course, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I think the funny thing about these schedules or the weaker schedules, it all comes to an end when the playoffs happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, ain't no more like hiding behind weak teams or whatever. Like, you got to show up because then at the end of the day, the truth's going to come out. So at the end of the day, I still like this playoff because the truth comes out. Like you really see these teams against like, okay, maybe Ohio was just like chilling, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad we lost, twice or before.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know what kind of team we are, and now we can actually play or whatever it is. So, and
but
I mean,
let me ask you this, Mike. You said you like this playoff system. Now,
yeah.
this is what I just don't understand for the life of me. If you're going to do a playoff, you get what? Originally, we grew up, it was 66 teams in the NCAA basketball tournament. Now they got these stupid ass play-in games, which I think are not necessary at all. Why don't they do top 25? Number one seed sits out that first week and then just have them play. That will settle all of that clamoring for who getting in, how many teams you have in a conference in there. Every week, what's the first thing we look at? We always look at the 1 through 25 rankings until the CFP rankings come out.
Mm-hmm.
Just use 1 through 25. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get that. And then, like you said, Oregon finished number one. We see that Oregon really was not a number one. But they didn't play like a number one team, last week. I just don't understand how, if you're the committee and you're seeding these teams, how would you even start off by putting Oregon in that spot, knowing that they're not the number one team? And it goes back to what Mike was saying last week. Are you just strictly going off the record?
Looks like it in the case of Oregon. They were only under 15 in D1.
I think it could eventually get to the, what you won as 1 through 25. They're not going to go out there starting, 1 through 25 right away. They got to gradually get there because they don't want to take it back. They don't want to be like, okay, 25, oh, that didn't work. Let's go back to 12 or 8 or whatever it is. I think they could eventually get there. I honestly don't think anybody was missing out from this one. If anything, I'm more of like, let's keep it shorter. Let's keep it maybe 8 teams.
That's where I'm at with it.
But I
do think there's about 4 teams that don't need to be in here. That it's like, why were you even in here? And then to the point of like, yeah, it might be 2 of those teams that were all ranked top 4.
Real quick, Mike, is Indiana one of those teams that shouldn't have been in there?
I mean, record-wise, they belong there, but we all know Indiana played good ball. We're not going to take that away from their season. They played good ball. But, I mean, you had Oregon winning the Big Ten, and they came from the Pac-12.
Yeah, and I think we also have been, gifted. I'm going to say gifted because I'm a defensive guy. Gifted with these strong defensive teams in the past, like these championship teams, that it's like, oh, yeah, they're strongly a number one team. And I don't think we're going to see that every year. So just because Oregon doesn't really have a defense, or just because, Texas doesn't have a defense and looks like trash, I mean, and they win the title, maybe this year is just an offensive champion,
Well, I mean, if you look at Ohio State offensively, they're very offensive if you're the opposing team that's rooting against them. Just real quick, if we went back, if they did away with the built-in bye for conference champion and just went by the final CFP ranking, the matchups this week would have been Oregon versus Arizona State, Georgia versus Boise State, Texas and Ohio State, PSU versus Notre Dame. And I think if you're Georgia and if you're Oregon, you were done no favors by the way that they decided to do the seeding. Oregon, if you're the number one team in the country, how's your first game against the hottest team in the country, Ohio State?
But if you're the number one team, you should be able to beat those below you.
Great counterpoint. But I mean, that's why you work all year for a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. So right, you can play a Howard or.
I mean, I hate to seem like I'm on my soapbox for the FIs, but it ain't their fault that Oregon ain't the true number one.
Oh my
Steve,
God.
Good morning to you because I totally agree.
We could talk about Michigan all day.
We're gonna talk about Alabama in just a minute. But Steve, you stick around because I totally agree with you. That's why I wanted to stick them to the wall about Indiana. The asses didn't have no business being there. First of all, let's give some shout outs to the Goon Squad. Happy New Year. Paulette Woodard, happy birthday. Reverend Paulette. Melanie Taylor, good morning. Farrah Fawcett, Good morning. Happy New Year. Uncle Langston, congratulations on your nuptials. We won't even wait till the end of the year for that. He's married now, you hear? He said he's married. He's married now. All right. So good morning to each and every one of you. I'm gonna keep okay. So Melanie checks in. She says, "Can I get a recap on what y'all's picks were for these playoff games? Just curious because of how it played out." Okay, so I'll start, Melanie.
Go.
Tasha didn't bet on black this last round, and it bit her in the black booty. Can we just start with that? Notre Dame. I had Notre Dame. I had Penn State. I had Texas, and I had Oregon. I ain't picking against Ohio State no more, y'all. That's just a little precursor. All right, I ain't picking against them no more. They look like they skating with and without a stick. Oh my God. How did we beat them, y'all? How did we beat them?
Because the coach is trash. That's why.
Oh, Mike, you just teed that up. We're gonna get into that as well. So Tasha, go ahead and answer your friend Melanie. Explain yourself. Why'd you go against your own this time around? What?
Well, I don't like Notre Dame, and I don't like the FIs. As simple as that.
Okay, that's very simple.
I literally, y'all know, most of the time I'm picking, there's really no rationality or reasoning behind when I pick. If it's a black coach or a black quarterback, that's usually the team I go with.
Well, then that's going to make for a very interesting segment when we get to our picks because to go head to head in the semifinal round. So
you know who she gonna pick? Come on,
so, right? But she just said she headed to FI, so we shall see. Good morning and happy New Year to you, Martrice Baby Cakes, stirred up gifts and creations. Make sure you give her a follow. I'm rocking the gear now. Langston says the question isn't who deserved to be there, but put some respect on OSU coach name. Langston, you're getting ahead of the script. You stay right there because we're going to get to that because I'm dying to get Tasha's thoughts on this one. Mike as well, but I think I kind of know where Mike is going with this. So speaking of Langston and what he said, Mike, we're going to start with you. Which coach benefited the most from a narrative perspective regarding him for winning these last two playoff games? James Franklin or Ryan Day?
I'm going to say Ryan Day because after that loss against Michigan, everyone was ready to get rid of him. Literally. To be honest, even before season, everyone was saying it's a championship or bust because of how much money they put into the program. Pretty much taking a script from Michigan of like, okay, let's get these NFL coaches in here. Let's get a little bit of development because that's what we've been lacking. They've had the talent. Like that's always been there. So putting $20 million into your roster, getting these high profile coaches, losing against Michigan, and then he needed to show up for Franklin. I mean, they still haven't proven anything.
Really?
Like if they lose, they're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's Penn State. They still haven't won a title. Like they haven't finished. So, I mean,
Steve put that man's government name, but I want y'all to Google Lady Elaine Fairchild. That's who he looks like to me.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't like him. I don't like the way he look. I hate he throwing that Beijing. Well, in his case, it may be just for men in his beard and hair. I don't like him.
So then let's see if that affects your answer. So who benefited more from a narrative standpoint for winning their first two playoff games? Ryan Day or James Franklin?
The narrative more is James Franklin because the only reason why Lady Elaine Fairchild was getting all that vitriol was because she hasn't beaten Michigan in 4 years.
Don't get us in trouble, Tasha. You know it's 2025. But go ahead.
Man, look, 2025, right. Look.
Oh, my God. Mike, help us.
That's the only reason why all of that was going towards that way.
Right.
The narrative has been there with James Franklin that he can't win a big game since he's been at Penn State.
Right. I'm going to agree with Tasha on this slightly, but that may change depending on what happens in this next round. We
already talked about SMU and Boise State being weak, and then you want to
whoa. See, that's my point. You can't say on one show that SMU and Boise State deserves to be there, and then discredit James Franklin for beating them.
No, I'm
Like,
not saying
they
me.
supposed to be there or
I'm not
not?
saying me. I'm saying you. You said
Me?
SMU shouldn't be there.
No, I didn't say SMU shouldn't be there. I did not. I said Indiana shouldn't be
That
there.
was me. I was along the lines of SMU.
Okay. Well, regardless, there have
Right.
been
I
people saying
said
that they're.
Indiana shouldn't be there. I had no smoke with SMU.
And then another thing is 2 of the top 4, like you said, knocked out, and we're like, oh, okay, well, some of those 2 teams shouldn't have been there anyways. And so I don't think Penn State has beaten anybody yet.
That's not fair. That's the double standard, Mike. Likes that she's being messy this morning. That's a double standard because all I heard all year with y'all was Genty, and then how he did against Oregon and how he, and y'all picked them to beat Penn State. So
And
obviously,
I was totally shocked. I thought that Genty would go out there and play tentative because he didn't want to get injured, but he looked like he was playing for real and just was not effective.
3 yards a carry, more fumbles than touchdowns. Penn State locked him up. As a real quick aside, from what you saw in those bowl games, who would you rather have if you were an NFL GM right now? You needed a running back, Genty or your boy Scatterboo from Arizona State?
Let me tell you something. Scatterboo was scatterbugging out there. Do you hear me? You gonna have a running back, a fullback, a tight end, and a safety all in one
Right.
5'6" package.
And a leader and a dog. He is built for Sunday. I was very impressed with he was a one-man wrecking crew against Texas. Basically, should have won that game, but I'm taking Scatterboo. Mike, are you taking Genty over Scatterboo?
No, I was a little shocked with Genty not making certain cuts in that game, and I kept thinking, oh, well, Corum would have made that because I think Corum is going to be a good NFL type slot running back type.
I mean, because you see when he's out there playing, he does good.
Yeah.
There's certain cuts that NFL running backs make, and that makes you a running back in the NFL, unless you're like a power back. Power back, of course, you just run north and south.
But to Mike's point, I do see Genty as the better NFL running back. I would see Scatterboo as more of a fullback. I really do.
Well, when I saw him run that wheel route, he was looking like Jeremiah Smith with the hissy head fake and then went up that sideline and caught that 40-yard pass. Then he threw a 40-yard pass, and he's a running back. So, all right, so speaking of Arizona State, he says random. I live here in Phoenix. Hey, shouts out to the West Coast checking in early in the morning. And I didn't want to come off like I was hating on ASU, but I kept telling them they didn't deserve a first-round bye. That's my point as well. I like you, Steve. Give us a follow because you're making a lot of sense. He
does. Remember I say my boy Steve from Memphis. That's him.
Man, okay, a Tennessee boy. Of course he knows his sports. Now, Mike, we're coming back to you because the Big Ten is 4-1 against the SEC in bowl games. And the SEC was really a 4th and 13 conversion away from being eliminated from the CFP altogether. Texas held on. Their kicker was point shaving. You know I hate kickers, but I'm going to digress. So it's been a down year for the SEC as far as the bowl season and as far as really the CFP. If you look at how Georgia looked, how Tennessee looked, LSU not making the tournament, Alabama not making the tournament. Mike, is it too early to call for the demise of the once mighty SEC?
I like how you use demise. There's a lot of lob questions here. Setups.
Yes. I got you ready. Just go and dunk that mug. Just go ahead and dunk it.
I think we've been talking about how through the whole season, even last season, ever since NIL came out, and even I think Tasha was on board too of like, what is this going to become? And we were saying like, this is just going to equal the playing field. And I think even before the NIL, we started seeing, and this was, I mean, Paul, you were there, like early 2000s, we were talking about like, oh, SEC used to be like dominant. I'm talking about like dominant. Obviously, besides like the championship game to where SEC would have that one team. But overall, the conference used to just dominate. And we could clearly see that in the bowl games. I think ever since they transitioned to more of a spread offense and put more emphasis on the offense rather than defense, we started seeing that decline a little bit more and even out. Since the NIL and the transfer portal, I think it's definitely like you can clearly see it. I think with Michigan coming through and being like, oh, some of y'all do steal signs. Let's go ahead and even this playing field, and putting that out there. It's also evened a little bit more. I don't think they're a dominant conference anymore, and it's plain to see. So, I mean, it is what it is. I know people are making fun of it. It's like, well, and someone was like, oh, I can give you $7 million. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then they're like, Alabama and Georgia are used to people saying like, cool, let's sign here. And now they're like, okay, well, let's see, right? And then you got Colorado. It's like, I'll give you 10 million. All right, done, or whatever.
You cooking, Mike, because that was what I was going to say. NIL has changed the whole scope of college football. You don't have to go to said university to make it to the league. And the ones who are maybe not going to make it to the league, they can go to said university and get paid.
Well, we just saw that with Blair Underwood flipping his commitment from LSU to Michigan. And I mean, yeah, he's a Michigan hometown hero from a high school scholastic standpoint, but that was a money move. Like, if I'm a quarterback, I would rather go to LSU to be the
you're going to get drafted. You don't know if you're going to get injured. And if you're not a top key player, your whole university is not going to get a multi-million-dollar injury insurance policy on you like Shedeur and Travis had at Colorado.
Now Farrah says she hates the NIL and the portal. No, let's not do that. Let's not. I like the NIL.
I like the NIL and the portal they need more restrictions. And Mike says this all the time. They need more restrictions.
I love it.
Be more specific for the people who are just now watching. What type of restrictions would you like to see in place? Either one of you jump in.
Like, I don't like the multiple transfers. I don't like that. Okay. And there needs to be some sort of restriction on, well, I'm not going to say the money because I'm not going to hate because, we're from that generation where Michigan, the Fab Five, should be some of the richest mofos on this planet right now.
They should still be eating off that Michigan money.
Right. I just think it needs to be policed a little bit better.
There needs to be a little bit more accountability in contract. Yeah. If you want to treat this like a business, it needs to be a business. You can't just sign one day and be like, you know what, I'm going to go over here the next. Like it needs to be a contract.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I have an issue with the coaches being able to just up and leave like that. It should be certain buyouts too. If you leave and go to another school, you should have to sit a year. Like you should. You're recruiting all of these people to your university. And some of these players are coming just to play for a certain coach, and then you leave. Right,
like Saban. Remember, Jeremiah Smith just recently said that Saban told him that he would be there through the tenure of him. Not Jeremiah Smith, the kid Ryan Williams said that he would be there, and he wasn't. And Ryan decided to stay at Alabama and play for Coach DeBoer. But what happens to that kid? Hey, go ahead, get your money. Now, Langston says a CBA, jumping back to what Farrah just said, what if the NFL had a portal? Then my Titans wouldn't constantly be picking in the top three, Farrah. We could just get on. That's what would happen.
And Aldi's.
Shit. I ain't trying to be cussing early this morning, but damn it, we're wrong. Now, SEC fans, this is your lot in life. SEC, I'm gonna just say this, and me and Tasha grew up in SEC country. I'm now in Texas. Just in the interest of full disclosure, I am a Michigan fan, not a Big Ten fan. I don't root for one conference over another. I hate every other opponent in the Big Ten. I root for them all to lose when they're playing out of conference, just because I hate them. Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State, Wisconsin, lose them all. I don't care what conference you're playing against. So I don't want to sound like an apologist for the SEC, but Tasha, can we just be real about something? And you may agree or may disagree, but if the SEC powerhouse program is not in the CFP, they don't care about that bowl game. Not as much as other teams care about beating the SEC.
I think that's why Alabama looks so terrible. Because
I don't think they cared.
Yeah, I don't think they care. It didn't. I mean, it's not like they were playing the mighty Michigan Wolverines. They were playing, a Michigan team that was a shell of itself from the championship team. I don't think they really cared to be in that bowl game. The only person that probably cared was Milroe, and he had a terrible game.
I bet he's glad to see Michigan in his rearview mirror. We whooped his ass
Because
twice in the same year.
he's trying to get his draft stock up, or he's going to the draft. That game was for him to get his draft stock up.
It was, and it backfired tremendously. He looked very, very shaky in that game. Sold on Sports Check, and he said NIL is cool, but it takes away competition. Players will just leave if they're not starting.
Everybody can't be a starter, man.
Yeah, but that's the new generation.
Yeah.
Oh, now that could veer us off into a whole nother segment, but I totally agree with Mike on that. But back to the SEC's weakening and loosening their stranglehold over the rest of college football. Think about it. If you let's look at LSU wide receivers. Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. are two of the 1,000-yard rookie receivers. They would have been buried behind Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And then you just keep plugging them. Like, those are legitimate first-round picks that would have been – look at the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, the team that was on the bench. Look at Michigan. From 2021 to 2020, the backups stepped in. It was like, all right, bet.
I mean,
there was no
you
drop
got
off.
like 3 or 4 Hall of Famers from that 2001 Miami team that was on the bench.
That was on the bench. The SEC cannot do that anymore. To Mike's point, these kids aren't sitting around waiting to be developed on the bench. They're like, well, I can go to Marshall and go get $600,000, $700,000 to start. At least I can get my Instagram up because I got my highlights. I can. It's very convoluted. It's very tricky. Transfer 3 weeks after signing with Oregon. Well, she's saying that's a player that did that. Correct. Don't nobody stop it. Now, y'all.
Look at that Georgia wide receiver who was actually in the portal, but he decided to play because he could, have a chance to win the national championship. So why are you leaving?
Yeah, Alex Orji did that as well. He's officially in the portal and decided to play and actually started. Now, Steve says, way too early to say, but the SEC has fell off based off 1 year. Is crazy. I'll admit NIL and transfer portal has hurt the SEC overall the most. SEC had the best players for the last 20 years, numbers-wise, but now there ain't no second or third string going to ride the bench to wait their turn. Look at Alabama and their running backs. It was Derrick
Steve
Henry,
is obviously typing from his laptop because Steve out here right.
No. Good job. Good job, Goon Squad. We love it. We love it. We love it. Now, on to the NFL. Before we get into the juicy topics, Tasha, Mike, let me ask y'all a question. The Titans and the Texans play this week. Now, Tasha, well, Mike, you're a Titans fan, so you understand. There's only one team on God's green earth that Amy Adams Strunk, who's the owner, wants to beat, and that's Houston. They're wearing the Love You Blue troll jerseys at home, but the Titans currently sit with the number 2 pick in the draft. If they lose and New England wins, they get the number 1 overall pick. We all know they need a QB. Tasha, Mike, whoever jump in, help me with this. This is going to be the first time I'm actively rooting against the Titans, watching them in real time. Like, I want them to fumble, drop, do not win this game. Tasha, how do you lose this game on purpose? Or do the Titans even have to do it on purpose?
I mean, the Texans only put up 2 points the last time we watched them, so it may not be that hard.
Tasha, no!
I'm just saying.
Yeah. This is a game that the Titans will accidentally win, so.
Right. They're going to tighten the shit that they could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all.
The kicker didn't get the memo and makes every field goal, end up winning.
Y'all. Now, the thing, what's so funny is Brian Callahan, the head coach, he reinstalled Will Levis as the starter this week. And I think it was to make sure we lost.
The fix is in. The fix is in.
The fix is in. Ladies and gentlemen, I need us all to touch and agree with your black-eyed peas and your cabbage that the Titans continue their 5-game losing streak. I feel horrible for this, but I am rooting. I'm watching that game like they're Ohio State. That's how bad I want the Titans to lose this game. Come on, Shador. Come on, Cam Ward. Come on, Travis Hunter. Or the defensive edge rusher from Penn State. I'll take you too.
But the Titans are slow
Will Levis out there, guarantee.
But the Titans are slow enough to not even draft a quarterback. They still gonna think Will Levis is the answer.
No, If they do that, I'm coming over to the Texans. Yeah, Tucson, Arizona. I'm coming home. Coming home. All right, let's move on to Mike's team. The Philadelphia Eagles made waves this week when they announced that star running back Saquon Barkley will sit on Sunday's regular season finale against the New York Giants, leaving him 101 yards shy of Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record of 2-1. 5, the magic number. Now, to put this in context, y'all, they're playing a Giants team who, first of all, let him leave in embarrassing fashion. So he's got smoke for them. He rushed for 177 yards against them earlier this year, and they're 29th against the run. No, actually, make that 30th against the run, the Giants are. Mike, do you agree with the decision to sit Saquon?
I don't agree with it, but I understand it. Because that would, man. No, I would. Yeah, I disagree. I would have let him eat for sure.
Shit.
I mean, that's historic. You know, like he's played a great season this year.
Right.
So let him finish it out.
Tasha, you agree?
How many games did Eric Dixon do it in?
16.
He had 16 games to get that record. Next.
Well, okay. Well, hold on. Well, I'm glad you said that.
I'm just saying.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm not putting my star running back out there for a team that's skating without a stick.
But the Giants need to lose too, though.
We've seen fluke injuries. We've seen, look at Greenlaw running back on the field during the Super Bowl, tore his Achilles. You've seen non-contact ACL tears. I would not risk that with this much on the line because the Eagles are a viable team again this year to make it to the Super Bowl and actually win it. So,
right.
No, you had 16 games, bro.
Now, 2 points that I want to bring up to what Tasha just said. Both excellent point by her. Thank you, Melanie, for rooting for the Texans. I need everyone else to touch and agree with you on that. Now, for one, I'm going to give this credit to Langston because Langston sent me this yesterday that Saquon is actually 34 carries fewer than Eric Dickerson's load. So while it may be 17 games, he did it in fewer carries. If he got the record in 30 carries, 25 carries, he would have done it on fewer carries, maybe more games, but fewer carries. So I think, me personally, I think with the records, they're all separate. Jim Brown's 12 game is his own 12-game record. The O.J. Simpson 14 games, own record. 16 games for Eric Dickerson, own record, and then we go on.
My whole point for saying that had nothing to do with the carries and thing is my point for saying that was I'm gonna sit him. I don't give a damn if he needed 2 yards.
Oh my God, Tasha. Now, to Tasha's point, y'all, if y'all go back to last year, and I'm sure Mike remembers this well, they were playing the Giants in a meaningless Week 17 game. A.J. Brown tears up his damn knee and misses the playoff game against Tampa, a game that they lost.
I mean, it's football, though. These accidents or injuries
Mike,
happen. They happen week 1.
And then when y'all lose, it's gonna be like, oh, we lost because we didn't have Saquon.
Yeah.
What if you don't win the Super Bowl and he didn't get his chance at the record?
Now I'm a fan, right? I'm not the coach. I'm not the GM. As a business owner, yeah, I would definitely sit him. Like that's a no-brainer for me. As a fan, I want him to break it, and I want him to break it against the Giants.
Right. It's teed up perfectly.
It would have been apropos for him to do that. That would have been like, because I love it. And I hate that the Giants are struggling. Because how do you let that happen? How do you let Saquon, when y'all didn't even let him walk, y'all push that man out the door.
Yeah. They
said, don't let the door hit you where the good
money
Lord
on the quarterback. And then that quarterback you end up cutting, or trading.
And the quarterback still ain't with no team.
Right, but they went 6-11 with Saquon, though. 6-11 with Saquon. I could see them not wanting to give him 25. Well, no, he wouldn't ask for that much money.
I mean, but he was the whole offense. We had that discussion before Saquon got injured. We said that Saquon was their entire offense and that they basically needed a quarterback.
My boy said he's going to pull a show enough. You take the leg out.
Then you have to come out there with the crane kick like Terrell Owens and play on a broken ankle.
Right. The Farrah's like, come on, man. Stop it. He should just put himself in. Oh, no, that would be very interesting
so
to see him and Nick Sirianni.
What if this was Bo Nix going up for Rookie of the Year? That's y'all whole team basically right now with Patrick Surtain Jr. the second.
Oh yeah, he's the new Weaver's Island, by the way. I'm loving what they're doing.
What if that was your player?
This is my point. Against the Giants, he only need a quarter.
Yeah, the Giants gonna get up for this game. I don't know, but I don't know.
All right, Maya, are you gonna get it up? All right, The Steve says, if I was the coach, I'm definitely not playing them. Not to mention it's the Giants. They'll be headhunting and not going to let them break it on him. Plus, you play Super Bowl means that you got to play the other starters. Now, that's a good point as well. That means you got to play the whole offensive line. You got to play the receiver. You got to play everybody if you play Saquan. All right. Now, I know it's football season, so the NBA not be a big discussion. But what do y'all think about Jimmy Pat Heat? I think I agree with Shaquille O'Neal. You don't cross Slickback.
Right.
Pat Riley.
Because baby, Pat may have a couple of them Italian goons waiting for you.
Get that mob squad.
He told LeBron, F you and your rings. Your mom and daddy and your friends can't ride on this team plane.
I mean, it's like somebody had the question of was Jimmy Butler a franchise player or just a good player? I think early on, he probably could have been a franchise, but the way he's out here acting like a child, no.
Yeah.
That's not anybody you want. And you finna be 35 years old. You think somebody finna give you a max type of deal contract? Where you going? You might as well stay in Miami. That's why they sent your ass home for 7 days.
You're on South Beach. You're making $45 million this year. You got a player option for $52 million next year, and you're in South Beach. And you're playing on a competitive team. I say SYAD and STFU. That's just my thoughts on that. He said, how about the last Boy Scout, Saquon? If he's going to beat Manning's single season record, yes. Okay, so she said there's levels to this. I'm with Mike and Tasha on this one. Because of what happened to A.J. Brown, and it cost you a Super Bowl, like this might be your chance to get it done. San Francisco is down. Detroit's defense is severely injured. This is your chance to go get it. It's like, so don't mess around. Plus, you don't get a bye. If you got a bye, if you was the number 1 overall seed that had a bye, maybe, but you don't have that bye. So, yes. Okay. All right. Now, let's move on to the MVP race. One of the more intriguing MVP races that we've had in a while. In fact, if this was the Heisman race, there would be 4 notable names that would be in New York sitting there waiting on their name to be called. Let's go through them one by one, and then we're going to get the votes from our esteemed colleagues here. 1, Lamar Jackson. Tasha, Lamar's statistics are better than his MVP season from a year ago. More touchdowns, fewer interceptions, more yards. Okay, we got that. 900 yards rushing, as a matter of fact, with Derrick Henry in the backfield with you. Crazy numbers. Josh Allen is the poster child for I bet. You want to trade away my number 1 receiver? I bet. You want to give me 2 non-athletic tight ends to run the scenes? I bet. You want to ship off my running back to Houston? I bet. Like, all right, then, cool, whatever. I'm just going to go out here and drag the whole upstate New York to the AC championship. So Josh Allen, his name is in the ring. Saquon, we just talked about the 2,000 yards rushing and the manner in which he did it in 16 games. And then, Mike, we have a wild card here that I think is worthy of consideration. Joe Burrow. Now, this flies in the face of what Tasha screams about as far as records-wise, because they're 8-8. But Joe Burrow has better stats than Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and he's the only one playing with a piano on his back, meaning one of the worst scoring defenses in the NFL. The Bengals lost 4 games this year while scoring 30 points. I would have to whoop an ass in the locker room if I'm Joe Burrow. I'm scoring 30 points 4 times in the season, and I lose all 4 games, 2 of them to the Ravens. So, with that being the backdrop for everybody, Tasha, who is your MVP?
Of course, I'm going to always bet on black. I'm going to always go with Lamar. But I feel like this is that Joel Embiid, Jokic, Nikola Jokic thing where, okay, Embiid was balling, Jokic was the better player, but we're going to give it to Embiid just because. But this is not taking away from Josh Allen. But it's interesting when you said that about the 3 quarterback. I've actually had this pulled up. Wait a minute. Where the hell did it go? Hold on. And like you said about Joe Burrow, entering week 14, Josh Allen had the lowest stats out of between Burrow and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, that's true.
And he still does. It goes into that whole record thing. That's the only reason why Josh Allen is getting the uppance is because of the record. And then once the media gets a hold of, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, everyone just simply runs with it. But again, this is no Josh Allen slander because I like Josh Allen.
Yeah, he was busted on 90% of playoff teams in fantasy football. Like if you had him on your roster, you won a lot.
But it's like someone said, they keep moving the goalposts. Now they want to add quarterback touchdowns. They never did that when Cam was playing, but now all of a sudden, when you're mentioning Josh Allen, it's the X amount of touchdowns by a quarterback. If we're just going statistics alone and flash, it would be Lamar. But I think since they're factoring in the record, you have to go with Josh Allen. But I wouldn't be upset if Joe Burrow got it, to be honest, because
his
Joe Burrow
have been crazy. He's been the best quarterback in football.
Right. He's putting up great numbers, like you said, with a piano on his back. Mm-hmm. And then again, I had King Henry in there at one time. What Saquon is doing is phenomenal. Right. It's almost, again, the best quarterback award. They're not factoring in any other position because I still think that Saquon should be a viable candidate.
I agree. Now, Steve, we're not going to take nobody's black card. We're all about meritocracy here at the Extra Point. We joke around with the ABOB with Tasha, but no.
By the way, he asked me what did ABOB mean. I had to tell him.
Good morning, Christina, checking in. How you doing this morning, Christina? I know Georgia didn't play their best, but if there's any consolation, you're done with Carson Beck. All right.
She's not a Georgia fan anyway. She's a Texas fan.
Oh, well, you still in it then. You still in it to win it. Hey, we need you up here at the Cotton Bowl rooting against those suckers. Joe says Joe Burrow's a good runner-up. If he gets into the playoffs, it could be lights out. I agree, Tasha. Mike, you're up.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to choose someone that doesn't necessarily win their division. And I think that's hard, looking at Burrow, which if we're going off stats, he would clearly win. And then you look at Lamar, and his stats are better than Josh Allen's, like we've talked about, but he might not even win his division. So it's like
that could very well happen based on today's outcomes. That's very true.
But I take it as who is the best player. I don't care. Again, I really think Saquon should be higher up on this ladder than what they're mentioning.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say Saquon would be my choice because not only is he the best running back this season, but and he's also the best player on one of the best teams, going off of records. And you take him off of the Eagles team. Eagles are easily probably 8 losses. I don't know how many losses, but they would probably have like 8 losses on that team. So.
But to Steve's point, why is this hurting him? Who did Kirk Warner play with when he won the MVP twice?
He played with some killers.
He played with Marshall.
Who also won an MVP as well.
So you can't say, Lamar doesn't deserve it because he got a cadre of weapons.
Nice word this morning.
Are you saying Lamar doesn't have he has too many stats? What are you saying? Because if he has a lot of weapons, then they should be easily winning that division, right?
Steve was saying because he has too many weapons. But that wasn't the knock against Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner has some ballers on that team. But no one ever said, he won. I mean, of course, he went on. He won the Super Bowl one of those years. But you can't take away from a player because of what they have around him.
But you just said Saquon would be up there. Look at all the weapons that the Eagles have on offense.
What's around him? His numbers are higher. I mean, his numbers are still higher. If you say, okay, that evens it out that he has more talent around him, his numbers being well high and above the other two quarterbacks should let you know that these are only enhancers to him. That's not helping Lamar. Look at what he did when he didn't have.
Okay, so Lamar, y'all have some great points. I'm going to try to parse this out. So Lamar has better stats this year, but if you want to take the weapons argument, one can say his stats are better this year because with a 1,700-yard running back in the backfield and Derrick Henry, how many 8-man, 9-man boxes are you really seeing, Lamar? Zay Flowers is running wild out there by himself.
But what did he have around him when he won the other 2 times?
No, right. But that kind of speaks more to Josh Allen winning this year. Also, with Josh Allen, I don't know if people remember this, but in the preseason, his own peers voted him the most overrated player in the NFL.
which I thought
Y'all
was
remember that?
disrespectful because he's not overrated. He just didn't. Okay, I know I'm gonna get on my soapbox because y'all know I love Keon Coleman. Even though Keon had been out for like 3 or 4 games. He needed a player. You had Stephon Diggs, you had other great talent around you. He needed a player like Keon Coleman. Did y'all see that? Like that was one of the knocks on Keon when he came out. Oh, he's only a jump up and catch it guy. And I told you guys, that's what Josh Allen needed. He needs a wide receiver a Randy Moss type that he can just throw it and say, I'm gonna get it. Because on that one touchdown pass in that game, when Keon didn't catch it, he looked at Josh Allen and pointed up, meaning throw that thing up and I'm going to get it. You got Shakir coming out. You got the good, what's the tight end?
Dalton Kincaid.
You got Dalton Kincaid. Look at Dalvin Cook's little brother. Where he been? I had him on my fantasy team 3 years ago and he ain't did squat. These last 2 years, he's been cutting up. I think a lot of these players that they already had on the team see the light. They see the light being breathed into the Buffalo Bills via their quarterback. So I'm not going to sit up here. It's not going to be no Josh Allen slander because Josh Allen, I mean,
Josh Allen is 2015 Cam Newton.
Yes, he is.
A bunch of no names all the way on the strength of his arm and his legs. So, like, I really wouldn't have an issue with any of the 4 winning. I mean, if Joe Burrow can somehow knock off Pittsburgh today,
I'm not going to be mad.
I wouldn't be mad at that either because I've watched several of his games to close the season. The guy's just spectacular. Like the win last week where he willed his team to that win over Denver. Like they were dead in the water.
That's what I'm saying. When are we going to stop putting records? I mean, we learn this from the Heisman Trophy the last 2 years. We got to start leaving them records out if we're actually talking about who's the best player. And I know they say, oh, if you're the best player, your team should be better. But I'm still playing. It ain't my fault. Them motherfuckers. I mean, them dudes is bums.
Mike, you got Tasha ready today. No, Melanie we're gonna believe this is a mic drop because I like this, Melanie. She says you may own a baby grand piano, but if you don't know how to play it, then that does not make you a great musician. You still have to know what you are doing. That's what I'll be trying to say in the bed. But you know what? Let me just keep
See,
I ain't got no grand piano.
Mike, had I said that, what would have happened, Mike?
I don't need no grand piano.
It's on YouTube.
Yes, make sure you follow us on YouTube. I'm going to drop our link in the comments. Make sure you do that for us. So my vote is for Saquon. Tasha, your vote?
Josh Allen.
Mike.
I mean, if I had a vote, yeah, I would do Saquon too, but I don't think they're going to give it to a running back.
No, the running back is the Offensive Player of the Year award now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Christian McCaffrey, because I think Christian McCaffrey had a case to win it. See, don't gas her up. Come on, that's the first show of the year. Like, don't gas her up. Mike, thank you for being the anchor in our boat because we'll just kind of drift off into the middle of the ocean without our anchor on the boat. All right, Mike, you got some locks for us this week.
Yeah, I got some locks. It's kind of a downward because some people aren't playing their starters, so it's a little tough.
Right.
I'm gonna go with Dallas plus 6.5. They're playing the Commanders right now. I realize the Commanders need that win too. But yeah, I got Dallas 6.5. And then I got Buffalo. Speaking of Josh Allen, I got Buffalo -3.
Now, New England, Coach Mayo, I need y'all to do what y'all need to do. Buffalo, I need you to sit everybody. The water boy, the towel boy, the strength and conditioning coach. I need you to take the key pads like their name is Steve, Air, and McNair. We need New England to fluke. I know, Tasha. I know that's a sore subject with you, but you got to forgive us for that. Now, we need New England to win and the Titans to lose so we get the #1 overall pick so we can mess up the draft like we always do. I don't believe it until I see it. But damn, it does make for a good offseason when we know that we'll get at least Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Shador, or what's the kid's name from Penn State, Tasha? The number 11.
Carter. No, what is his name?
Yeah, Carter. That's Carter. That's him.
Yeah.
Or him.
Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter. Pair him next to Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat. And now we're cooking up something. We're looking a little bit like Pittsburgh, where we can just beat you with the front 4 and the front 7. Got some nice cornerbacks. Don't have a pass rush. Worst in the league in sacks. I'm okay with any of those picks. I digress. Time for our picks. Now, we got to pick 4 this week because, to Mike's point, there are a lot of games where teams are sitting their players, so it's really hard to kind of get a gauge. Tank season is in full mode for the teams that's picking in the top 10. So we'll go with the college games first. Texas and Ohio State. Tasha, you up first in the Cotton Bowl. Who you got? In the ABOW Bowl.
No. Baby. It's still a ABOB out there lurking with Texas, baby, because Sark's wife is a sister. They going through a little something.
Like you can't nail her to the wall. She's like Jell-O. You can't nail her to the wall.
They going through a little something, but she be there supporting that man. So I'm going
off the shade room talking.
I don't care who it is. Ain't nobody going to ever make me pick the F5s over anybody.
Now, Ronald Shelton is checking in from the D. Now, we got the East Coast checking in. We got the West Coast checking in. We got Tennessee checking in. Dallas checking in. Georgia checking in. I'm loving the love on this first show of the new year. Ronald said, hey, we're going to win tomorrow. He's a Lions fan, by the way. So, for what that's worth. Mike, who you got, Texas or Ohio State?
Yeah, this is tough because the beginning of the season, if the viewers remember, I picked Ohio State.
You sure did.
And when I went to Vegas in September or before the season started, I put money on Texas winning the national title. So I'm going to go with Texas on this one.
Texas about to get their ass whooped, y'all. Jeremiah Smith with all his muscles popping out of his damn teeth and gums and neck. That kid is amazing. Do y'all agree with Dan Orlovsky, who was on Get Up the day after New Year's on January the 2nd and said that if Jeremiah Smith could go into the draft this year, he would be the number 1 overall pick. Do y'all agree with that?
No.
The only reason why I don't agree with that is because the Titans can't take a wide receiver with that quarterback room if they have the number 1 pick. Now, if New England has the number 1 pick, they already drafted Drake May with the top 5 pick last year. Possibly they could do that. If I was him, I would trade out of that pick and get a haul from the Raiders or the Giants, somebody who needs to move up and get a QB. Do that, Gerard Mayo, because you need more than just a receiver. All right. Today's action. In the Burrow Bowl, let me back up. In the ABOB Bowl, Tasha, in the Orange Bowl, we got Notre Dame and Penn State. Who you got?
Lord, I hate black on black crime. I hate it.
Somebody catching a body.
Let me
Somebody
see
get wheeled out of there.
Which one of my peanut butter color brothers am I going to go with? You know what? Mike, let her marinate on that for a second. We'll go first, and then we'll let her go last.
Yeah, I got Notre Dame. They looked really good against Georgia, really clean. I do think Penn State has a really good defensive line, but I think Notre Dame just does multiple different things rather than just running the ball. So I got Notre Dame.
But Mike, Georgia was out there looking like the mob.
They've been looking like that, though. So
they look like the mob had them in the locker room before the game. They look. Oh my God! See, I don't know if it was like Georgia looked bad or because Notre Dame looked good. That's the thing.
Riley Leonard is a dog. If you got a dog at quarterback, Notre Dame's quarterback is a dog. He's 6'4". He's a prototypical Troy Aikman-looking quarterback. He's a pocket passer traditionally with wheels because he did some quarterback runs. I'm going with Notre Dame because they got talent. I mean,
Brown. You see Brian Young's son out there? He's 6'7". He had that punter so intimidated because he kept.
Yes. Go with the coach with the black dad. Well,
they both got black dads.
Now we see Mike. Now we going into 3rd and 4th tier on the string.
Yeah.
I'm going with Notre Dame because Marcus Freeman put on a coaching clinic, and I know last week I said ABOK always bet on Kirby. I did not see in a million years that he get out schemed. Notre Dame just looks like the real deal, and Penn State, for all of the smoke that I gave y'all about them in the first segment, I still don't trust Franklin, the higher. So I'm going with Marcus Freeman. Tasha? Now, Farrah, now he got to be fine if Farrah's ready to risk it all.
Hey, Farrah, I'm gonna send you me and Sasha's conversation about that.
Mike, I will tell you why this is a shocking development off wax.
I'm gonna have to give it. And wait till we get off. I'm gonna tell y'all what else Sasha said too. But that's why it was so hard, because my heart, again, I'm picking with my heart again. My heart wants Penn State to win because I want this for James Franklin.
I wouldn't mind an All Big Ten championship game. But
I gotta go with Notre Dame simply because, man, they deserve it. I know they were so happy to get rid of Brian Kelly's ass. And you probably had a few that was a little shaky because, Freeman is a brother and all, but I bet they bowing down to touchdown Jesus at that Golden Dome now.
Right. We going for the Catholics, Mike. Now, Farrah said her wife said he's fine too. So, Marcus, you're breaking down barriers, Mr. Freeman. Marcus, darling. You're going to turn Farrah into Lady Eloise. Mike is like, get me out of this segment. All right. So, Mike, who are you shouting out on this first Saturday of the new year?
I actually have a sad one. So over the Christmas break, we heard that one of Tristan's teammates, he was 14, actually passed away from a hit and run.
That was I saw that on the news. That was his teammate.
Yeah. He was a great football player, great friend. God. And we went to his service yesterday, and man, it was breathtaking. The older brother, who was 18, actually sang for his brother, and it was just, it was great. I couldn't have done that, and I told Stacey, I was like, "There's no way I could have done that for Steven," just because
No, you're gonna get your ass up there and sing for your brother.
Yeah, his brother did great, and but it was a great celebration of life. So yeah, I just want to give him a shout out.
And ladies and gentlemen, who's watching in Dallas, y'all, if y'all know the car that they're talking about, because on the news last night, they're looking for help in identifying the person in that hit and run. So please log on to Fox News or ABC, the local affiliates here. Get the information on that. If you see that car riding around, call the police. Listen to what Mike just said. The fallout from that stupid, reckless act. Don't be a coward. Stick around and make sure that he's rendered aid. Oh God, Tasha, you're up. Good job, Mike.
I want to send a shout out to the young man who ran the kickoff back in Notre Dame. He is a Firebird. His name is Jaden Harrison. And when you said Marshall, it made me really think about it. So I had to hurry up and pull it up on my phone really fast.
Excellent job by you.
Because he played at Marshall for 3 years.
Nice. See that portal, Farrah?
But he was a one-time transfer. He wasn't, I'm going to go to Marshall. Then I'm going to go to West Virginia. Then I'm going to go to Notre Dame. He's a one-time transfer. 3 years at Marshall and 1 year at Notre Dame. So shouts out to the former Firebird, Jaden Harrison.
Mike, if Tristan played for 8 teams in 8 seasons, I'm wearing all 8 jerseys.
Exactly. I'm going to wear one of those.
I'm wearing the original and the last.
Right. Until you get that chip. Go ahead, Tasha.
Oh, no. And shouts out. Y'all, I had to keep muting and my dogs kept barking because we're getting the entire house painted. So I have painters all through, up and through in here, getting things together.
Shouts out to the construction crew. I got a couple of birthday shout outs. I want to give a shout out to the young lady, and I emphasize the word young, who opened the show with a good morning and happy new year. My auntie namesake, Paulette Woodard, Reverend Woodard, happy birthday to you, celebrated earlier this week. My cousin Angie celebrated her birthday this week. Happy birthday, cousin Angie. And one of our legendary OG Goon Squad members, Carlos Coronado, West Coast Los, had a birthday on yesterday, so happy birthday to you, Los. Firebird is in Pearl Cone.
Is there in the office?
Melanie, E2 Brute. What you mean?
I do have one more update, guys. Little Cassie, he's on the mend. He had his first poop today when I was there, and he ate a little food yesterday. He's drinking water. He still hasn't his IV in because he's not eating like they like, but he's drinking water. He ate a little bit of food, like I said, enough to give him a nice big poop this morning. So my little Cassie is doing very, very good.
Excellent. Keep those prayers coming for Tristan's friend. Keep those prayers coming for Cash Detroit. Keep those prayers coming for all of us, y'all. We're all in this thing together. We're all playing for the same team. We're all in the same game. Oh, remember that song?
Don't you know we got to
We're all in this together.
Okay, Mike. Okay, well, then send us out of here, Mike.
That's the reaction I'll
try it
bring
out
for Tasha.
with
Thank you.
You know, Mike, you got a drama kid because
Hey, way to be an active dad, an active parent. Yes. Yay. And shouts out to my Hazel. I miss my Hazel.
I know, sweet Hayes.
She would nestle up next to me to go to bed. She kind of even knew when she saw my sleep machine suitcase. She was like, "Oh, it's bedtime. Move over." She would nestle up next to me.
She said, "Oh, Darth Vader's here." Lord Vader.
Luke, stop tongue kissing your sister.
Hey, that didn't happen. That we're not gonna put that in the Star Wars universe. We're not gonna do that.
Well, hey, that should have been one of those. What would have happened? What would have happened? What would have happened? All right,
Game of Thrones is.
Tasha, sign us up out of here while AT&T is still on my good side.
Vamos Azul.
Hey, can we get a Happy New Year from you in your voice?
In my voice.
Yeah, in your DR language.
Oh, feliz año nuevo todos.
Huevos and delicios to you all, and we'll see you. We're off next week, but we'll see you in 2 weeks to preview the national championship game and the divisional round of the playoffs. Until then, enjoy your week. Happy New Year. We're out of here. Peace. Hail to the mighty victors. Hail to the conquering heroes. Hail to Michigan. We whooped Alabama's ass.